In this video, we'll be looking at this vertical MacBook docking station from Pulwtop. They did provide the sample for review, but of course that does not affect your opinion in any way. The specific model here is the BD216D. This is one of the more unique docking stations I've seen, A, because it actually holds the MacBook upright while connecting everything, but even more so because it actually includes an NVMe SSD enclosure built into it. So never seen that before. I think that's a very unique feature to have, so you can kind of get an idea of it here. We'll of course look at it more in a second. But essentially you can install an SSD into this docking station and then connect it to your MacBook and all that, and it will basically add storage to your MacBook, which is great. NVMe's can be really large, so you can add several terabytes if you want to. And I think most people leave their MacBooks actually plugged into the docking stations all the time, so it really will be kind of like adding a bunch of storage to your MacBook using this. So really cool. Of course you will have to provide the SSD separately, but it's definitely a really nice feature to have. Of course it's on top of all the other peripherals such as your USB devices and Ethernet and all that. But we'll go ahead and open up the box and show you all the different ports you have available. So getting into the box here, it looks like the first thing on top is the actual stand itself. We'll look more at that in a second. Underneath here we just have a user manual. Then we also have a bag with some little screws, a screwdriver, and it looks like a little foam strip. This is all going to be for your NVMe mounting. You'd actually connect this adhesive to your drive, and then of course use the screwdriver and screws and all that to mount it. So definitely nice to have all that included rather than having to provide it yourself. Looking at the actual dock itself, it has a kind of fully aluminum design, which I think looks really good. The color matches very well with the space gray MacBook Pro, so that's something to keep in mind. I think it matches almost perfectly, so the color matching will look really good when it's on your desk, but of course we'll look more at that in a minute. Attached here is the dual USB-C cable. This is how you're going to connect the MacBook, and then the actual design of it overall I think is pretty interesting because it's kind of like has this flexible rubber pieces at the bottom. So it's not actually adjustable in the sense that you kind of unscrew some things and then move it around. It's actually going to kind of clamp the MacBook by putting weight on the bottom here. So again, I'll show you more in a minute, but essentially when you push down on these parts here, this kind of closes automatically. So when you put a MacBook or something similar, it's going to just close on itself and keep it secure, which I think is an awesome design. It does have rubber on all the sides here to protect your MacBook, so you don't have any worries about it getting scratched or anything. The bottom here is only rubber, it's just kind of a thick piece here, but then we do have some additional rubber protection on all the contact points. So again, that's really cool to have, and I would say one of the smarter designs I've seen for a stand, which is cool. As far as our ports go, on the side here we have a USB-A port. This is going to be for connecting our keyboard and mouse. You can of course connect whatever you want to, but I think it's pretty ideal to have a keyboard and mouse there. Then on the back here we have the PD in. This is going to be for connecting your USB-C cable. It looks like you'll have to provide that yourself. It does not come with any power adapter, but essentially any kind of USB-C laptop charger should work pretty well with this. The other ports here we have our two 4K HDMI ports. This is going to be up to 60 Hz per. Then we also have a 1 gigabit per second Ethernet port and a 10 gigabit per second USB-A port as well. So if you're connecting a hard drive or some other high-speed device, you want to be sure to use that port. And that's why this slower port is on the side here for your keyboard and mouse that don't rely on speed too much. On the other side here we have some other connection options. There is a 10 gigabit per second USB-C port. So again, this is the same speed as this USB-A port, but in USB-C form, which is going to be nice. And then we also have a TF card slot and an SD card slot. So again, many connection options, which is awesome. And of course, on top of all that, we do have the M.2 connection as well, which is really cool. So again, I've never seen that in a docking station before, and I think it's a really unique idea. I'll open it up here in a minute to show you what it looks like, but essentially you just unscrew this part here, attach the drive, and then close it all up, and then you're going to be having a drive connected every time you connect this cable. So really cool, and again, a really unique design and a cool thing to have built into a docking station. Alright, so this is our setup using this docking station. As you can see, the computer is actually a little bit in front of the monitors, so that's just of course to show you. In a normal situation, you'd want to, push it off to the side or rotate it or something like that, but of course, just to show you right now, just to give you an idea of what it actually kind of would look like on your desk, I have it all set up and kind of in front of the monitors here. But yeah, so we have the two monitors connected here, of course, all through this one docking station. In addition, we have the mouse connected here as well. And so you can just kind of get an idea again what it looks like. It is pretty well color matched, I think, overall, so it looks really good with my space gray MacBook Pro. This is what kind of was showing you earlier, is that when you kind of lift it up, it actually releases sort of automatically. And when you put it down, the actual stand sort of flexes and then grips the MacBook like that. So I'll show you again here. Then it kind of just grips when you push down a little bit. So really cool design of that overall. Again, I think it works really well as compared to the ones you need to actually like screw in things with an Allen wrench and set the exact size and do all that. Instead, you just lift it out, it opens, and put it back down, and it kind of closes in on itself. So really cool design with that overall. Again, it's a pretty unique design compared to other stands I've used. So yeah, it's just the overall look of it. In terms of our connectivity here, you can see sort of on the back here, again, we do have the SD card slot, a TF card slot, and then 10 gigabit USB-C port still free. But at the back here, I did open the M.2 slot just to show you. I don't have one in here right now, but just to kind of show you what it looks like inside. So of course, you remove that little metal panel. You go ahead and plug in the drive there, then kind of screw it on and all that, and then you just attach the metal panel again, and it'll be kind of seamlessly integrated into the stand. For now, again, I don't have one installed, but that's just going to show you what it looks like. It would appear just on your desktop if you have it plugged in. It'd be kind of like an additional drive added to your desktop. So it's exactly the same as if you were plugging it in via USB, but it's actually integrated directly into the dock. So again, really cool, really unique design. Kind of a nice hybrid between an external drive and actually upgrading your MacBook storage. So really cool to have the option there. In terms of our other connectivity, we do have both monitors connected via HDMI here. Again, it supports up to 4K 60 Hz for each, so we just have both running off of those two HDMI ports. We also have the power cable connected here. Again, that's that's just going to be via USB-C. You'll have to provide your own power cable, so I'm just using a 65 watts USB-C laptop charger here. They did not provide that power adapter in the box, but once it is connected, it will be powering your laptop as well as all the other devices and all that. The other ports here are just our Ethernet port and then the 10 gigabit USB-A port. And on the side here, we just have the mouse connected via USB-A as well. Then we have the cable going into our actual MacBook. So that cable is going just via USB-C as we showed you earlier. So that's going to be taking up two USB-C ports on the side of the MacBook. That's going to, of course, going to be running all your monitors, connecting the storage, connecting all your devices and everything. The really nice thing about that being two USB-C ports rather than just one is it will actually connect both monitors without using any additional software. The unfortunate part of MacBooks in general is that they usually can only support one external monitor. So this dock is actually supporting two. And both displays are extending, not mirroring, which again is not usually possible with the MacBook. So it is nice that this actually uses two USB-C ports here, and that kind of gets around that by just actually essentially connecting one monitor via each USB-C port is kind of the idea of it, is how I see it. If you're using just one USB-C port, then you will need an external software in order to do what I'm doing now. So I'll definitely take the extra USB-C port being taken up in order to not have to worry about installing any additional software. You're just going to connect all your peripherals, install the M.2 if you want to, and then connect the USB-C cable to the MacBook, and everything works automatically. So yeah, overall, it's a really solid docking station. I think it's especially good for people that want to incorporate extra storage via M.2. It's a really unique feature that I haven't seen, and it's super easy to set up if you want to. It will require a little bit of formatting once you have your drive actually in, but other than that, assuming you're leaving your MacBook dock most of the time, it's essentially adding however much storage you want to, which is a really nice option to have. I also love the fact that it's both a stand and a dock, rather than having to take up space on your desk or such. I actually usually use a stand separately for my docking station, but it's really nice to have it and kind of incorporated into one. This will actually hold the MacBook upright like this, which I think looks a lot better, and it of course saves space on your desk. So it's holding it upright, connecting all your devices, allowing you to use multiple monitors, allowing you to expand the storage via M.2, and doesn't even require any software. So there's really not much to complain about. I would say the one potential downside is the fact that it doesn't include its own power cable. You'll have to provide that separately, as I mentioned. But other than that, it's a really solid docking station overall.